then when he got there, he was like, sis?
This week on CeleBritty Talk Show, get ready for part 2. The worst time that you've ever been hit on.
Because I'm just tired of toxicity.
Mind-blowing sex.
I'm literally gonna punch you in the face.
Let me tell you what I hate. You don't need to be a...
Me? I have a story to tell, always.
But let's have that mind-blowing sex. I mean, not us. You know what I mean.
Hello everyone and welcome back to CeleBritty Talk Show. I'm your host Alen, and today we're answering some of your top relationship questions, and we brought in some amazing individuals to help us out. But before we jump into that, if you're not already subscribed, please take a moment to hit that red button and subscribe to CeleBritty Talk Show's YouTube channel. We have great content and giveaways on the way for all of you, and you don't want to miss it. Also, I wanted to share with you all the scripture for the day. Today it comes from Joshua 1:9. Have I not commanded you? Be strong and courageous. Do not be afraid. Do not be discouraged. For the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go. Today and every day at CeleBritty, we want to remind you no matter how far you go, He's always with you. And He's always on time. All right, you guys, let's get into these relationship questions. Our first topic, what is the worst time that you've ever been hit on? So I'm going to tell you guys my personal story about the worst time I've ever been hit on. It still kind of gets me a little tight to this day because it was just the worst timing ever, all right? My personal story regarding the worst time that I've ever been hit on was during a car accident. I'm not joking with you guys. I was at Red Lobster sitting in the curbside to-go area. My car was parked. Okay, my car was completely parked. I was waiting for them to bring my food out. And there were other parked cars to the left of me where diners were, they were parking their cars. And so this young lady got in her car and backed into my car. And I was just very blue at that moment because my car was new. I had just picked up this 2021. It was brand new. And I felt like you backed into a parked car. My car was parked. I don't know how she didn't see it, but she says she did not see it. All right. So the gentleman that was in the car with her got out of the car and decided to come over to my car and ask me for my number and ask if he could take me out to dinner. So at this point, I'm just really done because I'm trying to get license plate information. I'm trying to call the police. I'm trying to file a report. I'm trying to do all this stuff. And he's asking me on a date. And it was just really bad time because I was already so upset that this woman hit my parked car, my brand new parked car. So yeah, it was just bad.
The worst time I've ever been hit on was when I was doing my first 2 years of college and I was wearing a really nice fit. I was looking good. And I was in the cafeteria. I saw a group of guys, kind of looking in my direction. And so this dude started walking up to me. And then when he got there, he was like, sis? And I was like, hey, what's up? And it was very awkward because we knew what he was coming over there for. Now, me and my brother did not grow up in the same household, and we have different mothers. But yeah, that was not great for him, at least. Me, I have a story to tell always.
So there is some ancient minds of men that still believe that catcalling can get you, the attention of a girl or whatever, the look. That, like, I'm literally, if you catcall me or like, hi, like, I'm literally gonna punch you in the face. Like, I've been doing martial arts for a little bit, so just like, I'm ready to throw all my weight into that punch and break your face.
I would say there is no worse time you have ever been hit on, because that's it. I don't think if you get hit on, you're lucky.
So what's the most attractive thing about the opposite sex? So for me, I think it's the overall look of how everything comes together with their whole appearance. How is he groomed? How well does he take care of himself? How does his style come together with his confidence? Not arrogance, okay? Notice I said confidence. I do not like arrogance. I love humble people. I feel like if you're blessed enough to have something special about you, something that you feel is special about you, whether that's your physical appearance or your charisma or your attitude, your spirit, if you're blessed enough to have something special about you, don't be arrogant about it. You know, be humble about it and thankful and appreciative about it. So I like confidence, not arrogance, all right? But how his entire aura comes together, his entire presence, that is what is most attractive to me, in my opinion. Okay, all right, you guys, that's how I feel. But check out what my boy Anand had to say about this one.
Thanks. So for me personally, it's a lot about confidence and ambitious. Like if I find if the other person is very confident about themselves, it's very attractive to me. It's very, very, because let me tell you what I hate. It's indecisiveness. It's like you don't know what you're doing, bro. I'm out. There is nothing. Don't be should I sit there? Should I don't be so timid and so afraid that nothing gets done. You can't even confidence. Know what you're doing, so that way we both can have fun.
The energy that radiates toward my being, and also I love the eyes. So green eyes.
For me, it's a beautiful smile when it comes to physicality. When it comes to mentality, it's a person who has goals, things like that.
All right, you guys. So our next question is, would you prefer a happy, wonderful marriage with no sex or a stressful marriage with mind-blowing sex? So if you all saw our game night episode a while back, you probably remember this question, and it was such a popular question that we had to include it today. All right, and my answer still remains the same. Personally, I don't want to be stressed, y'all. I do not like stress. I would prefer little to no stress at all in my life. And I certainly wouldn't exchange that for mind-blowing sex within a marriage. I don't care how good it is. It's a no for me, okay? Stress can determine every aspect of your life, from your happiness to the belief you have in yourself, to your health, to your wealth, to everything. And so that's why it's just not worth it, in my opinion, okay? I definitely do not need any additional stress in my life. We already live in a world where there's so many stressors around us, so many aggressors, where you have to be worried about health and this and that and all these other things. I don't need to be stressed at home too, okay? And I certainly don't need it for mind-blowing sex. Personally, I wouldn't want either. But if I had to choose one within a marriage, I would definitely say the happy, healthy marriage with no sex. And we can talk about what's going on, why we're not having sex, what's really happening, get down to the bottom of it, and hopefully get to the point where we are. But I definitely would not choose a stressful marriage in order to have mind-blowing sex. No, not for me.
You want a fulfilled marriage life, whether that be with sex, without sex, whatever. I would rather get a happy married life regardless of sex, because sex comes and goes. It's not going to stay forever.
This one's easy. A stressful marriage with mind-blowing sex. I had a friend once tell me, crazy in the head means crazy in the bed. Give me the stress, bring it on, I'll deal with it, but let's have that mind-blowing sex. I mean, not us. You know what I mean.
A happy marriage, no sex, because I'm just tired of toxicity.
So our next question is, how do you balance a relationship and your family? So this was a really deep question for me, because this is something that I've always given a lot of thought to. I feel like the first thing you have to do is really sit and think about your goal, whatever your personal goal is. For me, in a situation like this, my goal would always be, how do I make the most important people in my life feel a good level of love and appreciation, while making sure that everyone is in their right first, second, third priority place. Okay, that's what I call it. Making sure everyone is in their priority place. So in a Christian household, we're taught that men should leave their families and cleave to their wives. So I believe that once you enter a marriage, your spouse should come first. All right, that is what I believe. Okay, but I'm also someone who is extremely close to their family. My family is really, really important to me. So I still think it's important to ensure that your family feels love and appreciation, and not like they're pushed to the side just because you got into this relationship or you got into a marriage, okay? Prioritizing your time, but making sure that everyone is in the right order, all right? So you make sure your spouse comes first, you do that first, and whatever that means for you and your spouse. And then you tend to the other ones in your life. Don't ignore your spouse or treat them like they don't exist because your family is around and because you have family, all right? Even if that means you have to divide some of your time. But there will be times where your spouse has to be unselfish and be understanding to the fact that you have a family. You know, you had a family before you met them. So let's say both your spouse and your family have big events coming up on the same day. There will be times where it's just all about your spouse. So your family will have to understand. That's just the way it is. There will be times where it's like, this thing that's going on, it's all about him or it's all about her, all right? But there may be a situation where both events are so big where you have to say, baby, I'll be here for 75% of this event, or we can stay for 75% of the time, but I need to at least stop by to this very important, this life-changing family event that's going on, okay? I think you just really have to have a goal of prioritizing who comes first, second, and third, and so on, and then do your best to make sure that everyone feels love and appreciation. But the first thing I think you need to do is keep God first, like first, like ahead of everything. What to do when you don't get along with your in-laws? Is it a deal breaker? All right, so I have a lot to say on this particular topic, but I'm going to do my best to keep it brief. All right, I'm actually going to give a different perspective though. I'm going to give the perspective of the child in this situation, because I've been a child in this situation, and maybe it's just me, but when it comes to things like this, that's where my mind goes first. The first thing I think about is, what if they have children and you have this situation where someone, the man or the woman, doesn't get along with the in-laws? What happens to the child? Is that an even more strained situation? My mind immediately goes to, what if they have a child? All right, because a person can separate themselves. They can, stay off to themselves, which is not ideal, but they can do it, and feel nothing about it. But the children aren't going to always be able to separate themselves, and these children are always going to be a part of that family unit. All right, I have very vivid memories of my grandmother not liking my mother. Okay, and as unbiasedly as I can say this, because I am not a biased person, it was for absolutely no reason other than the fact that some women just don't want their son's attention to be on another woman. I have seen that so many times. All right, so being a child in this situation was tough. When I would go around my grandmother, she was never pleasant to me. She was never nice at all, and I was young, so I hadn't done anything to her. I really can't recall ever saying anything to her, which was not at all the type of relationship that I have with my mother's mother, with my maternal grandmother. So this was very different for me. I hadn't done anything to her, but she was never a pleasant person to me. The only constant that I do remember is that she would talk negatively about my mother, okay? And so in this situation where there was a strained relationship between my grandmother and my mother, being a child in that situation, like I say, it was very, very tough. So I can explain it from that perspective. In my opinion, it very well may be a deal breaker. It definitely could be, because for the individuals who are going around their in-laws, they may limit their contact to none at all, because they may just be like, I'm done with it, or it may be a very strained situation. Even if you get to a point where you're like, we speak and we're cordial, the relationship may still be strained. And there's going to be times where your spouse may have a very big event, okay? And those big events are going to be hard too. Things come up. It may be a birthday or an accomplishment being celebrated, and they want their family there and their spouse there, and now they're in the middle because they can't sort between the two, all right? And so even if both groups show up, it's still going to be tension. There's still going to be that strain. So in my opinion, to answer the question, is this a deal breaker? I think that it can be. I think every situation is different, and some people will find their ways around it, and some people simply won't. All right, you guys, that's how I feel, but listen to what Jesse had to say.
People want to know if it's a deal breaker if you don't get along with your in-laws. No, it's not, because you're not dating the in-laws. If you plan to get married, you're not going to marry the in-laws. Now, you still need to be respectful of the in-laws. Like, you need to be cordial when you're around them. You don't need to be you don't need to be around them and be like, that kind of thing. You don't need to do any of that. If you don't like them and you don't get along and you can't be cordial or respectful, then you need to nope out of there. But if you can be respectful around them and you don't like them, you should be fine. But you need to have a conversation with your partner to set that expectation. You need to tell them early on, hey, your in-laws, we don't get along. I will be respectful and nice whenever I'm around them, but we don't get along and we're not going to be best friends. That is okay. But if your partner has an expectation that's different than that, then you need to talk about that, because that could be something that drives a wedge between your relationship, and you need to find that out sooner rather than later, because otherwise 6 months down the road they're going to be like, yeah, this just doesn't work for me, and then you're going to break up anyway. That's my thoughts. No, it's not a deal breaker, but yes, you definitely need to have a conversation about it.
All right, you all. So I think we've definitely covered enough for today, but we want to hear what you all think about these topics. So please leave it in the comments. And if you're interested in having your opinion featured on Celebrity Talk Show, email us at submissions@celebrity.com. Thank you all so very much for joining us for this episode of Celebrity, and we'll see you all next time. Make sure you're subscribed and that your post notifications are on.